Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX technical analysis video update. In today's video breakdown, we are going to further continue our technical analysis and fundamental bias on the overall market, specifically focusing our attention on AGIX, ICP, and HBAR continuation moves from the previous video breakdown. If you guys want to track this information with us, then make sure that you are smashing that thumbs up button and subscribing to the platform, especially if you are finding value in these technical analysis breakdowns. Now, in the previous video breakdown, we had called out some targets on AGIX, ICP, and HBAR that have come into fruition, just to show you guys that these delta zones that we are operating with are extremely accurate. Now, we only have around 100 positions left in our private monthly Discord. So if you all want access to these delta zones that we provide for our private members, make sure that you visit CYPRXtrading.com. If you guys want to see them behind the scenes, then definitely reach out to me. Our email is in the description down below. I'd love to hop on a Zoom call with you and show you what you will have access to by joining our private community. Let's jump into today's technical analysis. So, in a couple of tweets that we put out yesterday, given some price projections on AGIX, ICP, and HBAR, our top performer was AGIX. We had some accurate callouts on ICP, and HBAR, as of where it stands now, is still stalled out, looking to see where price action can take us. So yesterday on the X space, if you don't follow us, make sure that you do so. We also put out this price projection looking for ICP to hold above the 44-cent range and to come up into the high 65-cent delta. Now, fast forwarding into today's price action, you can see that that 44-cent range was respected and price smoothly transitioned up into the 65-cent range where we currently stand today. I will go over my technical analysis here in just 1 second. Let's head over to ICP. So on the X space and on YouTube, we had mentioned to you guys scenario number 1. We were looking for a slight retracement on ICP down into these lower deltas of around $12.50 before the market made another decision to come back and correct some of this previous bullish move. Looking over on ICP's price action, you can see that we got a nice move and retracement down into roughly around that $12.50 delta zone, where now price has recovered slightly and we currently sit today. HBAR has been the most difficult pair so far, with neither of the scenarios playing out, give or take scenario number 1 possibly playing out, or scenario number 3 possibly playing out as we stand with current price action. Looking at the charts, you can see that we did see a slight retracement down from roughly around the 11-cent range, but we are holding firmly above the 9-cent range. So today, what we're going to be looking for on HBAR particularly is for us to hold above the 9-cent psychological level and for us to traverse back to the upside, breaking 11 cents and heading towards that 12 to 13-cent range, ideally. Let's cover AGIX first. I want to take your attention to the US data front because these factors are going to play a massive important role in tomorrow's price action, whether the markets see a risk on or risk off market mood. So let's talk about scenario number 1. Scenario number 1 would be if this data comes out pessimistic or downbeat for the US economy. We see bad unemployment claims coupled with bad PMI figures, which would prompt strength in risk assets and weigh on the US dollar. Again, write those things down. That would be scenario number 1. And in that scenario, we would need unemployment claims to come out above previous readings of 212,000 and above market forecast of 217,000, preferably inching closer towards that 220,000 mark. Remember, anything below 220,000 unemployment claims can still be seen as optimistic labor market data. Fast forwarding over into the flash manufacturing and services PMI figures, in order to see recessionary scares in the United States, we need to see this data come out below the 50 grade mark, i.e. 50.5 below or 52.4 and below or below previous readings. If we got those data points, i.e. higher unemployment claims coupled with lower PMI figures, that would most likely prompt weakness in the dollar and continuous bullish momentum in risk assets, i.e. the digital asset space. So in that scenario on AGIX, give or take some slight retracements to semi-correct some of this previous bullish move. We could see that if we see a continued risk sentiment tomorrow on AGIX, we're either going to do one of two things: range because AGIX has already had its bullish move for the day, or see a continued further bullish push up into roughly around 75 cents. That would be ideal and would be our next bullish target on AGIX if we do see another run due to dwindling US dollar strength led by bad US economic data. ICP for scenario number one would be, again, dwindling US dollar strength coupled with bad US economic data, those focal points that I just mentioned. If we can break back above the top of this sell delta and come and correct some more of this previous bearish move, holding above the $12.50 range and turn this sell delta into quote unquote support, let's just say firmly holding above $13, I could see us coming and correcting some of this previous bearish move here and potentially revisiting these highs at roughly around $14.80. Again, that would be if we saw weakness in the US dollar led by downbeat US data. Okay, so for scenario number one on ICP tomorrow, led by weakening US economic data and weakness in the dollar, would be a break and hold above 13 cents, and for us to traverse back to these previous highs at roughly around 14 cents. If we do see a significant uptick in the price of ICP tomorrow with scenario number one in play, our next bullish targets, if we break the 14.67 cent range, is roughly up here in the high 15s, right? ICP in a nutshell, HBAR. As of right now, it looks almost similar to ICP price action, where we did see a slight retracement, give or take, obviously, of course, some different lengths here. However, we did correct some of this previous bullish move and run up into 11.5 cents. So if we see a continued risk on market sentiment tomorrow, driven by weakness in the dollar, led by downbeat US data, i.e. higher unemployment claims and lower PMI figures, as long as we hold above 10.5 cents, we could see us correcting some of this previous bearish move. Same thing on ICP, revisiting the highs of around 11.5 cents. If at any point in time we break 11.5 cents and traverse higher, our next bullish targets are going to be 12 to 13 cents on HBAR. Okay. Now let's talk about the opposite side of the spectrum before I let you guys go for the day with this technical analysis update. Again, just showing you all the level of accuracy in which we trade with here at CYPRX, calling out the 65-cent target range on AGIX ahead of the curve, calling out the $12.50 range ahead of the curve on ICP. And as of right now, HBAR still stalling, looking like it's going to play out with scenario either number 3 or scenario number 1, right? Let's talk about the downside, and we'll go ahead and we'll start with HBAR. So as of right now, HBAR's price action looks similar to this. So on the flip side of the spectrum, what would prompt a risk-off market mood led by dollar strength would be optimistic US data tomorrow. That would be if we saw unemployment claims come out below the forecast of 217,000, closer to the previous or anything under the previous reading, signaling that less people are filing for unemployment claims. Couple that with upbeat or higher PMI figures, i.e. flash manufacturing PMI and services PMI coming above the 50 grade mark and above previous readings, would most likely result in dollar strength, the rate cut narrative further fading off the table, showing that there's no recessionary scares in the US economy overall, drive dollar strength, prompt a risk off market mood. Hopefully I'm breaking this down for you all in a way that is easily understandable, okay? In a scenario like that, this scenario would most likely not play out on HBAR, and we would most likely get scenario number 1, which is a retracement of this previous bullish move here, looking for price to break the 9.5 cent psychological level to come back down into the low 9s to the high 8s on HBAR. That would be if we saw upbeat US data driven with dollar strength or coupled with dollar strength, i.e. dollar back above 104.100 to 104.2, risk off market mood on HBAR. Okay. ICP. If ICP, give or take those same fundamentals, optimistic US data, dollar strength above 104.1 to 104.2, and we fail to break this high on ICP, roughly coming at around $13.80. What I could see on ICP is we semi-correct some of this previous bearish move, come up into a premium, manipulate the top of this delta, and traverse back to the downside, heading back towards $12.50. If we break $12.50 due to a risk-off market mood led by optimistic US data, driven with dollar strength, I could see us revisiting the low 12s, potentially even breaking the low 12s and coming back down towards the high 11s to correct more of this previous bullish move, right? So this would be scenario number 2, risk off market mood led by dollar strength and optimism in the US economy, right? AGIX. AGIX, similarly, the same thing. If we see optimistic US data led with dollar strength, most likely what we're going to see is AGIX stall out, give or take some liquidity grabs above highs, break back below the 65-cent range, retest, and start to correct some of this previous bullish move, heading back down towards the 44 centile range. If at any moment in time we do happen to break 44 cents, our next bearish target on AGIX will be in the low 40s, coming down into potentially 40 cents to revisit this previous demand range here in this area. All right. So AGIX, ICP, HBAR in a nutshell, bullish case scenario, bearish case scenario. In focus tomorrow is the US flash manufacturing and flash services PMI primary figures coupled with unemployment claims. Now, just to show you guys the level of accuracy via the fundamental breakdowns that we gave you all. So yesterday on the X Space and the post that we made on YouTube, we said that given the FOMC meeting in minutes, we will most likely see the Fed continue with their previous hawkish to neutral stance. So before I let you all go, let me just give you guys a quick market recap of what happened in the digital asset space over the past 24 hours. I said to you all, we think that's going to be the case, which would temporarily strengthen the US dollar, put demand back on the table, and turn risk sentiment sour, which is what we got today slightly in the digital asset space, give or take. Obviously, of course, a couple of different assets flipped bullish, particularly looking at AGIX, but the vast majority of assets across the board had a slight pullback. Now, just going over the post-FOMC meeting in minutes, this is what we put out on the X Space. I said to you guys, post-FOMC meeting in minutes, yet another accurate analysis given to you all ahead of the retail crowd. We mentioned that the Fed would most likely continue with their hawkish to neutral tone, weighing on risk assets intraday for crypto assets, which resulted in a slight downturn on the day. The whole digital asset space was negative 1.8 on the day. Overall, the markets are still holding on to the rate cut hopes in 2024, so higher time frame bullish momentum in crypto remains intact for now, give or take some intraday weakness and pullback opportunities, which we could see come into fruition tomorrow if again we see a risk-off market mood driven by dollar strength, led by upbeat US fundamentals. I said to you guys to close this off, we need to continue to be data dependent week by week, monitoring dollar strength. ICP, along with XDC bearish targets that I mentioned to you guys on X, have been met. So we did dollar cost average. I didn't pull those up in today's video breakdown, but just to do a quick screen share, we had called out some 4-cent targets on XDC as well that had been met. So ICP and XDC were our most recent dollar cost average positions, give or take these slight and most recent pullbacks that we saw on both those assets. Many blessings to you guys. Hopefully, giving you guys these updates, you all now know what to look forward to as we head into tomorrow and heading into the weekend via price action on AGIX, ICP, and HBAR. Many blessings to you guys. Do us a favor before you head off here. Smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you guys want access to our technical analysis insights, before we project them out to our social media platforms and before we give you guys breakdowns coupled with the delta zones that are updated on a daily basis, make sure that you guys are visiting CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you in the monthly Discord. Lots of educational material and content in there for you all to dabble in, along with the delta zones. So with that being said, I will see you all in the next video breakdown.